Yep.
Hey, this is Robert. Thank you for tuning into the show. And we have a returning guest, but we're just kind of doing this solo. This is Jozlyn. Thank you so much for joining me on today, or yeah, this afternoon, your time, but
Yeah.
still morning for me. How's it going?
It's good. It's so funny with the time zone, right? Like I live and breathe in like different time zones. You have to do time zone math. That's like when I first started in voiceover, like learning that like where I trained was 3 hours behind me and I was 3 hours ahead, that makes like a huge difference, in everything. So, anyways, thank you for having me on, Robert. I appreciate you having me back.
Yeah, of course. And just as a quick heads up, I do have a large backlog of stuff that I still gotta post, so there's a good chance it might go up at some time in September, but regardless, just wanted to let you all know in advance at the time of this recording. So yeah, good
Awesome.
old August, summer, mid-summer heat wave
I
stuff. You
know.
know what I mean?
I know.
Yeah.
I have kids back in school already, so they've
Oh
already
yeah.
started. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, which is nice because then it like frees up my days, for work and like getting the stuff done that I want to get done because summer can be a little bit hectic when the kids are home. But I have three kids, so one just went off to college, so well, in-person classes. He was already in college, but it was a big transition for me and my family, and I'm happy that September is almost here. So, um, yeah, so I've been doing voiceover for like a very long time, like, but actually being a voice actor, um, I've only been doing it since like I think December of 2021 is when I decided I was going to start taking classes and training, and then in January of 2022 is when I had my first like official class at a training facility in Las Vegas. I'm in Florida. And from there, I was like totally hooked. And like talking today about, learning the ropes in the industry, there's so much to learn. And a lot of it you just have to learn as you go and grow and develop. But if I can share any tips and tricks that like maybe I didn't do so well, as I was going, or things that I feel like worked well for me and my journey, I'm happy to share those with you.
Yeah. And we'll definitely be talking a little bit about that for how much 30-minute time that we kind of have here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, just wanted to ask you first off, like, how's everything going since we kind of last spoke? Because I think we did this around spring with everybody, but I kind of want to know from, you personally, like how, voice acting is going, what stuff that you're kind of working on, stuff that you want to share with the audience. Just go
Yeah.
ahead. It's
So
it's all yours. Yeah.
you're so funny. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I usually am sharing the video with my co-host, but so like the summer months are always really slow, right? They always say like the J months are like the slowest and most of the summer is June and July. So it can get kind of like dry or you can have those like low times, like in voiceover. Things are
I don't
starting to
know. Yeah, I
no?
don't know if that was the case for me personally,
No?
but not this year, which is kind of, I mean, I'm glad that it wasn't slow for me, but still, it was like, so much at once. But I don't mean to interrupt you.
Really?
Continue. Yeah,
No,
it,
that's
it really
good.
was. Yeah. I mean, it's good, but yeah, I'm just like, oh, when am I going to get that break? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's excellent. I feel
Yeah.
like things are picking back up for me. I think one of the biggest lessons I learned from and like learning the ropes and like through my career is having a job outside of voiceover. You know what I'm saying? Because it takes a while to build your clientele, right? To get the business that you're looking for in order to like maybe go full time into voiceover. So I think like also working and like diversifying yourself, work right now. I think the biggest thing I've done this summer is adding agents. I've been doing a marketing, campaign to try to expand on growing my agent outreach because sometimes pay to plays aren't always the best for everybody. Some people do really, really well in pay to plays, and not every pay to play is the best for every single person for their, voiceover journey.
Yeah. And what I really love is that everybody has a different journey. Like your journey is going to be completely different from mine, and it's going to be different from, say, Gabby or Lloyd.
Totally.
Uh, and this is what I kind of love is that we each kind of have like something that, whether it go because when you're doing something like this or when you're really doing any industry in general, you're gonna have your ebbs and flows. Like it could just kind of be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's kind of like a roller coaster where it just goes up and then it just kind of goes up and
Down.
down, up and down. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just, it's really unpredictable and there's no telling what's gonna happen in like, next
No.
week. Yeah,
Yeah.
tomorrow, really.
It sounds like you're on the up though, like right now. See, so it's like different
Yeah,
for
I
every
know.
single person. And that's good though. I mean, and that's the beauty of being an artist, right? Or an actor, like your journey is entirely different than everybody else's. And I feel like I was like busier, in January, February, March, April, and then like things tend to slow down in the summertime, but it's very competitive out here. I mean, I think people forget how competitive it is. And if you're getting shortlisted on something that you auditioned for, that's a win in my book. Like, I feel like even if I didn't book it, like booking's like the frosting on the cake, right? It's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm always grateful for being shortlisted. I'm always grateful for getting an opportunity to audition another time. You know what I'm saying? If they call you back for something, or even just like having an opportunity to get in front of like a director or a producer, those are all wins. And I feel like booking is part of it, but it's not all of it. I mean, obviously that's the goal, right? But like everything that happens ahead of booking the gig is so important, And also too, like, you have to, like you said, it's a roller coaster. So you have to stay consistent and you have to be persistent and you have to just keep going because there are some really high highs and there are some really low lows, And then there's just some steady time, where it's just kind of like flat, you know? And you have to just weather through it. There's a ton of rejection too and like being a voice actor, obviously the goal is to book, but the job is auditioning, and even before that is the training, and making sure that you have the right equipment and making sure that you have a professional setup, right? And that even when you do get your professional demo or demos, from after you've done all the coaching and training, you have to continue training. It doesn't stop, I mean, I don't know about you, but my coaches have coaches, Yeah.
I think everybody has a coach at this point.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that you mentioned how January, February, and March was kind of like a busy time for you. It was kind of the complete opposite because I feel like the beginning of the year was slow. And then when we get to April, August right now,
Yeah. Yeah.
almost the end of August, I feel like it's definitely kind of been on a consistent upward, just trajectory in a way.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not complaining. Like, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
just really, yeah.
Yeah, grateful and thankful. Yeah, you just have to
I'd rather take that than just sitting around on my behind and just not do anything. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Just sitting around,
totally.
just, yeah,
I think
stagnating.
like
You know what I mean?
I think celebrating when you are in that like high, like celebrating that you've like booked or celebrating that you're working on like active projects, and then knowing that like there might be like a low, and you might not be doing anything. And then during those times where I don't have a lot going on, like I said, I choose those times to do like maybe some more training or maybe I will do like a marketing campaign. Um, I'm not like super crazy marketing when it comes to like, I know there are people that are like, you gotta market, you gotta market, you gotta market. I do it in like spurts. So like when things are like slower, I'll, take the time to do something like that, to expand my reach. And also too, like, um, I don't necessarily, I think that like as you grow, you have to expand on like your coaching too, like maybe you started one place, but then going out and finding other different coaches is important too, as like you learn and grow. And then navigating this whole creative space connecting with other people, like how we connected, or how I connected with Lloyd and Gabby and Angela. You know, we met at the training, the voiceover training facility, and then we started meeting regularly over Zoom and just talking, and as we were in the beginning of our voiceover journeys, and then we became like really good friends, and we started a podcast, and we have a WhatsApp thread so we can like in real time talk, throughout our days. Um, about voiceover stuff, that we can all commiserate about, or, you know, be in the know about, or share information with each other, or celebrate with each other. I think it's important to have, or create an accountability group too, you know? That's like, I'm happy that I have that. And I'm happy when I hear other people having that too.
Absolutely. So we also talked extensively about the podcast that you do, Keeping Up with Chaos, which I'll just also include, in the description. I'll just, why not?
Yeah.
Because I've already shared it before, but you know what? I'll just do it
Thanks.
once again. But
Thanks.
yeah, so because I know we talked a lot about your podcasts, and getting to work with Lloyd, Angela, Gabby, and all these guys. How would you say that your relationships or just your understanding of the industry really started growing just from doing the podcast? I mean, from your perspective, because I know when I do my own, I just learned so much about, the business, with friendships and all that stuff. But I wanted to know from your perspective how it
Yeah.
was very, very, very much was a invaluable, resource on
Yeah.
the growth, just as for acting, as
Yeah.
people, so on and so forth.
I think it started because we connected from where we all trained. And then, like I said, we met like weekly, and we were sharing pieces of information or experiences or frustrations or commiserating or celebrating with each other. And then I was already podcasting with Keeping Up with Chaos. I had started that, before I got started in voiceover officially. Like I said, I've been doing voiceover for over 20 years, to be honest, because I've come from radio. So I was doing radio imaging, station imaging, I was on the air, I was voicing for clients and brands that came through the radio station. I just didn't officially become a voice actor until, like I said, like 20, end of 2021, 2022. So I'd already started a podcast, but through my accountability group and there's one other gentleman that's a part of our group, but he is no longer podcasting with us, Frankie, Gabby, Lloyd, and Angela, I said to them, we should start, a podcast. And so I ended up kind of smushing the two together, and um, sort of one had a good idea and one had the bones to it. And like I said, we came together. And really, the podcast came after. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like having conversations, sharing what we're going through, talking about like, hey, I booked this gig and I'm super excited about it and I have people to share with, or talking about the fact that, maybe I'm having issues with my equipment, you know what I'm saying? And I need someone to like maybe help me work through it, or maybe they have a suggestion in terms of try like a different piece of equipment, or you know, someone to commiserate with, like maybe dealing with like anxiety, like that you have like right before you do a live direct session. So I think like they came before the podcast, you know what I'm saying? And the podcast was just like it was like a afterthought, I guess. We were kind of like, hey, we should share our conversations and document our uh journeys, because maybe someone else will learn from it and grow from it, in real time, and just to be really transparent about it, because it's a hard industry to be in. It's competitive, it's hard, and like I said, you can't just audition once or just submit to one agent, and even that one agent, you might have to submit to them like 5 times before they actually even take a look at you, so it's there's a lot of rejection, and then so that all goes back to like the accountability group, and my group of friends came before the podcast, and the podcast grew out of our friendship and our shared experiences and connection.
Since you brought up radio, what was something that you really took from radio and really applied it into VO, podcasting, so on and so forth?
Yeah, that's a good question. You're asking so many good questions. Um, I think part radio was like a two, like it was like good and then bad because sometimes the style of delivery when it comes to radio doesn't necessarily serve voice acting well because voice acting you want to try to lift and emote the emotion and the words off the page, right, and create like a story. And sometimes radio can be real like punchy and but like the part of radio that I think really benefited me with voiceover is I understand timing, pace, tone. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand radio sometimes you're like a character and you're an on-air personality. And so I understood that like you can create a personality inside of your script. You know what I'm saying? There's a character in every script, even just commercial scripts. So, and I understood like what is a 10-second script? What is a 5-second script? What is a 15, 30, 60? You know what I'm saying? Like I understood what it took to get the timing right and the pacing, you know? So, yeah, I think that's like what was helpful for me. Yeah.
Sure. So this year you kind of also have been doing, because not only are you voice acting, but you've done some on-camera stuff. So
Yeah.
how's that going for you? Because I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, it's funny. That's what the other part of like learning the ropes. I was like,
Yeah,
having the whole experience and meeting and connecting with people is so important because through my training group and my accountability group, my friend Frankie wanted to get back into acting and on camera. And so I fell into on camera through supporting him as a friend, taking an online class because there's a lot of virtual options to train now. You don't have to be living in LA or Vegas or New York or Chicago or Atlanta. You can do this online and get the same sort of, professional training that I think everybody needs, continuously, especially when you first get started. And so anyways, so like it's been a couple years now that I've been training and I wouldn't say that I'm like Julia Roberts, but I think the difference between me and someone else is that I'm just doing it. I just kind of went for it. I supported a friend, I took some classes, I fell in love with it. My main motivation of doing on-camera acting was to have my voice acting career be benefit, so that I could learn how to create and I don't know, like live in the words more, right? And create like the characters more. And now I'm doing it on camera and I just kind of followed that energy. So that's where I've been kind of like living that space. I have agents and that's kind of like where it's been kind of moving. I have voiceover that is still like, it's like a pot on the stove, still simmering and I'm still working on it, but I also am like actively working on camera stuff. So I booked like a grocery store gig and that was like a lot of fun. I can't really say it out on air. I mean, I don't know if it's like live in the wild. So, but it's a major grocery store and it's just a lot of fun. It's 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 just a lot of fun. I mean, I feel like my heart like sings when I do on camera and it was so unexpected. So I think like a thing that I would say in this industry is that never hold yourself back. You know what I'm saying? If an opportunity comes up, take it. Try it. You never know where it's going to take you and follow that energy, and see what happens. And I went from voice acting to on camera. I went from podcasting to voice acting to on camera and um yeah, I have friends that started doing improv. Lloyd is doing improv, so it's all connected, I think.
exactly. Just never be afraid. Like, look, I'm also looking for improv when I'm
Yeah.
starting to expand. Like, not only do I do voice acting and podcasting, but I'm also, producing stuff and
Yeah.
trying out some new stuff. So
Yeah.
you just don't limit yourself with just one thing for the rest of your life. That's pretty much
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually too just recently took like a full-time job. It's a remote job and it's actually adjacent to the voiceover industry and it pulls from my previous experience in radio. I work for a large company, and so I work remotely, which allows me the opportunity to be able to have income coming in regularly, so that when you have those down times, you're not starving. And it also allows me to be at home and still manage my people because I do not only manage my household and like my kids and the everyday life stuff, I also have a kid who's a voice actor. So I manage his voice acting career, and yeah. So right now I'm kind of like I'm busy, like because I have a full-time job that it pulls. I also do production, so I help other women produce their podcasts. Have a client up in New York, and I've had several other clients that I've helped them, pursue their podcasting passion, and that's fun, and then now I'm working for this major company and I have, income coming in. I've got my voice acting career going and I'm doing on camera stuff and I'm managing my son's voice acting career. So I feel like you said, don't just do one thing, you can try it all, don't hold yourself back, you know, and just remember that there's a lot of rejection. So having that accountability group or even just one person that you can talk to, you know what I'm saying, that you can commiserate and celebrate with at the same time is so beneficial because of the rejection, I mean, there's high highs and low lows in this industry.
Absolutely right there with you. So, out of everything that you've done this year, what would you say was something that, I mean, outside of the, podcast and voiceover and stuff, what would you say was something that you're really like, wow, I am so happy that I did this, like when it comes to taking risks and everything that we were just talking about, what would you say was your proudest moment for this year so
Really
far?
proudest one? I have like it kind of like goes to my family. Can I talk about my family? I mean, that's what it is,
Sure.
really. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a mom, so like I'm a voice actor, I'm a non-camera actor, I'm a podcaster, I'm a production gal, but like I'm a mom and, I was pretty proud of the fact that my oldest decided to move out, and that happened recently. This is pretty fresh for me. He was living at home and working and saving money and doing online classes, and this is the year he decided to move out. So I was proud of myself for handling, navigating that transitional period in time uh, rather well. I wasn't sure how that was going to work out because, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how many parents are listening or, but I mean, it's hard to have your firstborn leave the nest. You know, it's a lot. So I was pretty proud of myself for, you know, I made sure that he was prepared. I think being a boy mom, I think he would have preferred just to pack a couple bags and grab his toothbrush and go. And I made sure he had like a pot and a pan and some glasses and, some band-aids, like some essential things that you take for granted when you live at home. So, anyways,
Yeah. And I
so
think that's the, oh, sorry.
no, you're okay. I guess like going back to like voiceover and acting and on camera and stuff like that. What I'm proud of most is that I actually booked something in January and I was really sick. And so I had to, say I can't make it. Like I had to, tell my agent like, "Hey, I'm sorry. Like I'm really sick. I can't you're gonna have to tell." I had to like say I can't do it. And I was really disappointed. That's really hard to do. But, what can you do? You're in bed, you're sick, there's not much you can do. And then I thought, well, if this client is interested in hiring me again, then another opportunity will come up. And lo and behold, I got booked for something in February. I did like more background, but that was a different client, and I was able to do that project with my youngest son and my middle son. So we did some background work up in Orlando area for one of the parks in February. And it's not much money, but you know what? The experience of working with my two kids and showing them how that all works, doing background work, and it was a lot of fun. And then, sure enough, in March, the client that had tried to hire me in January for an on-camera project, the grocery store chain, hired me again in March. And so I was like, okay, I'm very proud of myself for I think we need to allow ourselves some grace. You know what I'm saying? Like, like you get sick, you got to be, like that happens, but you just keep moving forward and you keep putting yourself out there and you keep auditioning and you keep staying consistent and persistent, and what's meant for you will come back to you or will find you. You know what I'm saying? So that's my little story.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And it's kind of when we go back and we remember what just finding that joy that really gives us, that really
Yes.
pulls us back into why we just continue doing what we do. I mean, like I have my booth behind me, and I always joke that I never leave without it because I'm literally just right. I'm just like from where I'm sitting, like I could just turn around, just pop my head in there for about how long I have to record lines, and then just come back out here and do my work. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's literally just my workstation for like
Yeah.
24/7. Yeah,
Yeah.
little office space. So if you get, and it kind of, okay, I'm so sorry. It kind
No,
of
you're good.
brings to mind like, because I know there's a point that I'm trying to make. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, look, I could just do this in literally in my room and
Pajamas.
having the boom, yeah, pajamas, and I could just be in here and just finding something that works. If it works, like, hey, you're doing something right. And have, we don't
Yeah.
always have like the best setups, but if you can make something work, then hey, it just shows that you're really, serious and just
Yeah.
really willing
Professional.
to take this serious. Yeah, just being
Yeah.
professional and just making something work, even if it's just like I've literally known people that have literally recorded in large space like this. They still made something work, like whether it's under their bed, like
Oh,
covers,
yeah.
pillow stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you know where I'm get going with this, where
Yes.
they have
Yes.
like these boxes,
Yeah.
pillows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's crazy, but hey, they
It
made it work.
works. Yeah,
It works, it
exactly.
works. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're
So,
on the go. I have friends that are on the go and traveling all the time,
yeah.
and you got to make it work. I think like if you put your best foot forward and like you said, like you have the right equipment, you have the right training, you continue training, you have a professional demo. You know what I'm saying? Like and I feel like too, like when you're training, you're working with coaches. That's one thing I learned along like in terms of like learning the ropes. I remember thinking like when you're in class with like multiple people, and you have lots of questions, ask one question. You know what I'm saying? Allow your coach to speak to you and answer the question that you had, and then like let it be. If you have multiple questions for your coach, you need to allow other people to like have questions, you know what I'm saying? Or have time to be able to ask questions. And if you have a lot of questions, maybe email your coach separately, or maybe even hire them for like a one-on-one session where you can have a one-on-one with them. I learned that, early on that you can hire your coach one-on-one to work with them individually, and it's if it's within your budget, it's worth it. Also too, like uh listening to your coaches. You know what I'm saying? Like when they're here to help. So let them talk, like don't just listen, because they have experience and real experience, to share with us. I get frustrated when I'm in class and you get, another student that is just kind of rambling on. And, so being respectful of people's time, being respectful of your time, giving yourself grace, being grateful for opportunities that happen, understand that there's a lot of rejection, knowing that like there are going to be high highs and low lows, and you just have to keep going. And like a simple thank you, just whether you're working with your clients, you're connecting with someone over a podcast, just, working with a coach, just being nice and saying thank you, and, like when I talked about like reaching out to agents and stuff like that. Like obviously just reaching out to one agent one time is not going to cut it, but you know, not being annoying is also important, right? So you like, like if you send your stuff to an agent at one point in your career and you don't get any feedback and you don't get a bite from them, maybe 6 months later, consider resubmitting to them because you're going to be 6 months down the road and that much better, right? Maybe you've got some better gigs that you booked, or, like you're always growing and expanding too. Anyways, I'm on a soapbox now.
No worries. We all love it. And I think that probably would be it's actually a really nice note to end out this little chat on. And on this, on the topic of, just traveling, so on and so forth, I know that when I spoke with Gabby a few weeks ago, and um, let me see, because we were just kind of going over some stuff, like doing something like this, and, with traveling, I think from what she told me, like, even with, connection, like issues and stuff
Wi-Fi.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wi-Fi and everything. But if she would have like a little space in the corner and just do work,
Yeah.
and I know that she's currently on the go, and I think she's supposed to be back next month, if I'm not
Soon.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Something sometime soon. So yeah, it's like I was saying, like if you can make it work, like hey, it just shows that you're really doing it. So that's
Yeah.
pretty much all I've got to say.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh,
I was gonna
sorry.
say one more. No, I was gonna say one more thing. Even like the simplest thing, which is not so simple, is a website, right? Like
Yeah.
whether you're a podcaster or a voice actor, I feel like your website is important. Whether you're a DIYer and you create it yourself, because it's within, depending on your budget, or you farm it out and you have somebody else like help you create it, depending on like your budgeting needs. Because it's like your calling card. It's where your work's gonna live. It's where you're going to be able to showcase what, your episodes or showcase your work, and samples and your bio. And I think learning how to figure out how to make your own website, which I have friends that have done that, or I had someone else help me do it, is also like really important to remember. And like you said, investing in equipment and creating a space, whether you're on the go or at home, as long as it's treated, it doesn't have to be like a $1 million freestanding, like box. I mean, of course, we all want that, but as long as you're professional and you have professional equipment and a professional space and it's treated and you make it work, that's important, right? Oh, there's one thing I was going to tell you. Conferences. If you have it in your budget, try a conference because it's a great place to go and grow your business, expand and meet industry professionals, right? Also, you can meet other voice actors and you can also like go there to get training. And if you can, I would budget for it, but that's one thing that was really important. I went to VoiceOver Atlanta and that was a really good experience. I know people go there every year. I went there one time and one time is good enough for me. But maybe I'll go back in the future. But I think trying out a conference too is important. It's a great place to network too, and that's important in this industry.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. What's your just do the self promo, just plug in
Oh,
your social. Yeah.
sure, sure, sure. I was just gonna say one more thing. Don't forget to celebrate. I know I said this before, like I just want to end on that. Always celebrate all the wins, like the little ones and the big ones. And like I said, getting that short list is so important, or getting that call back. That is a win, right? Getting that self-tape request, that's a win. So like, yeah, so the podcast is Keeping Up with Chaos from the Booth and Beyond. Um, that's where you'll find Gabby and Lloyd and myself and Angela, and we have conversations like this, similar. And it's fun. And then you can always find me at jozlynrocki.com. That's my website. You can check it out. I just expanded on it and added some new stuff, so that's really exciting. And yeah, you can find me on Instagram under the Jozlyn Rocki because I had to add a the in the beginning of it. But yeah, so you can find me. I'm on Facebook too, but more Instagram. So yeah. Thank you so much, Robert. It was really kind of you and nice of you to invite me back and do this solo thing. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Anytime. So, like I said, I don't know when this will be up, but Yeah,
Yeah.
expect to see us sometime in September. We'll see. Don't
Perfect.
quote me on this, but
I know.
I guess yeah, I know with podcasting stuff there could be backlogs and it could be kind of wonky. But
I
thank you for
know.
watching. Yeah, but regardless, thanks for watching. See y'all next time, and until then, stay awesome. Peace out. God loves you, and yeah, God bless. Bye bye.
Bye.